Alrighty, so we have a number of attendees who have come in. Thank you all for joining the Vitabeam webinar this morning. My name's Ollie Birch from CoInvestor. I'm the head of marketing. We have a few more people we're expecting to come in, but we'll let them join as we make our way through the session. I will just give a quick introduction to Stephen, first of all, who is the founder of ARIE Capital, and they are the lead sponsor for Vitabeam. He'll give you a bit of introduction on ARIE Capital and some detail around what drew ARIE Capital to Vitabeam, and then we'll move on to James, who'll do a short presentation on Vitabeam, and obviously that's going to be the focus of the session. We'll save some time at the end for James and Stephen to answer any questions that might come through. So if you do have any questions, please drop them in the chat function. I'll be able to pick them up and then feed them to James and Stephen. Finally, I'd just like to say that if you haven't registered for CoInvestor, please do. You'll be able to find more information on Vitabeam and on ARIE Capital in the platform. We will also post the webinar recording up there if you want to go back and review it, but there's more information, more documents there. So without further ado, let me hand it over to Stephen.
Thanks very much, Ollie. Good morning. My name is Stephen Margolis. I'm the chair and co-founder of the ARIE Group. Can I first of all thank you all for finding the time to attend this webinar, and also thank CoInvest for organizing it and giving myself and James the opportunity to present Vitabeam. Just a few moments on ARIE itself. We made our first investments in 2017. We started off with about $33 million in a larger VC fund, which is currently sitting at a valuation of between $50 and $60 million. And we expect in the next 2 to 3 years to liquidate that at about an $80 million plus. We've already had one exit to Google, and it's growing very, very nicely. We have a geo spread. We have offices in China, Israel, London, and LA, and they all add and contribute to what we do in different ways. In the future, and this is relevant to what we're about to discuss today, we've been invited by the Nanjing government to create a joint fund and help companies access the Chinese market, either from a sales and marketing point of view or from a technology point of view. EIS is really our way of getting in at lower valuations and also getting to know management. We feel very much when you invest equity in a business, you're creating a marriage, and it's important that you get on with, we all know that you can get on with your partner in that marriage. We do have a defined investment policy. We need to see proof of concept. We need to see a barrier to entry. We also insist on B2B, and most importantly, we need to get on with management. All the investments that we make are made to create additional shareholder value, and we never invest just to extend runway. For that reason, we are actively involved in the businesses. We normally sit on the board or are an observer to the board. And we not only look to maximize return on investment, but we also hope that we give investors, if I say a good time, we give them the ability to enjoy what they are investing in and feel proud in terms of their investment and the progress that the companies are making. Without taking away any of the thunder from James, just a couple of lines about why we invested in Vitabeam. It's a green technology. It helps encourage plant growth. It deals with food safety and can also help deal with fight disease and in some ways healing, all of which James, I'm sure, will cover in his presentation. So from our point of view, it not only fitted our defined investment policy, it also ticked in many different ways all the green boxes and the sort of boxes that we should be thinking about as we look to our future. Enough about me. Happy to answer questions at the end. So please allow me to pass you over to James for him to give his presentation. Thank you so much.
Stephen, thank you. Ollie, thank you for the intro. I'll just share screen. There we go. So just checking you can see that okay. Welcome to Vitabeam Limited. I'm James Millichap-Merrick, co-founder and CEO. We are, as Stephen said, incredibly proud of our business. Our technology can be applied globally to seamlessly deliver increased food safety, nutrition and yield while reducing food waste. Vitabeam was founded in September 2014. We created VQE, a patented and proven world-first science. VQE is a cocktail of safe light energy delivered via LED devices. We simultaneously kill pathogens and stimulate healthy plant growth and yield. Our major benefits include increased production, food safety, shelf life, and reduced food waste. This means we can all enjoy chemical-free, healthy produce for longer: fruit and vegetables, meat, fish, seafood, and flowers. Here is a 5-day test by a curious commercial grower in California. He bought these 2 identical punnets and placed them on his kitchen counter, a clear example of the power of VQE. We have 6 significant global markets. In horticulture, number 1, for chemical-free pathogen killing and increased crop yield. In retail supermarkets for improved shelf life and food safety, further reducing food waste. In healthcare and food pre-packaging, we sterilize produce and equipment, additionally killing viruses. In the licensed medical cannabis market, our subsidiary BioRadiance Grow Science is already producing healthier medical products for consumers. And our final mission is in the home user, kitchens and refrigeration, saving energy. Here is a quick overview of our 3 devices on 2 platforms, which over time we can optimize and customize. They also interact, as you will see later, to give clients the highest level of benefits and positive ROI. The medical cannabis market is one of the leading growth and investment markets globally. With a projected value of $146 billion by 2025, we realized early on this is a huge opportunity. Then quickly and successfully developing our device for growers, followed by rigorous testing, professional testing, and validation. And we achieved some very impressive results. Significant increase in yield, increase in potency, mold killing, and an ROI on a financial model proven to show 1 to 3 grows of the first year. Beneficially, our BR3 device fits alongside existing grow systems or in specification for new build. Sorry. This is a perfect example. Photos I personally took, shoulder to shoulder with the master grower. He absolutely didn't believe our technology would achieve this and was genuinely amazed. It was such a pleasure to see his reaction and know that his product was treating his private clients with clean, natural, chemical-free products, which he is licensed for. In just 7 days, on the left, we have control, one T5 grow tube, the size roughly of your middle finger. And on the right, the T5 plus our BRE3 device. You can clearly see improvement in color, biomass accumulation, growth, and health of these young clones. The sick clones, which are shown as yellow at the back, these are rare, valuable, and sensitive and very hard to grow. In fact, another grower had failed throwing them in a bin bag. That's when the master grower decided to put them into this test, which is pretty dangerous, as they could have infected all the other healthy clones. What we could both clearly see was fresh, green, healthy growth in each of these sick clones and under our BRE3. This really enforced our unique performance. Back to Vitabeam and our mission for farm to fork, fresh food supply chain. This is an incredible amount of fresh food waste in the supply chain. So we can deploy our devices at each stage, delivering powerful benefits, and each time delivering strong ROI. Ultimately, the consumer benefits at home with longer lasting, fresher, cleaner, less residues and chemicals or pathogens, and with longer natural shelf life for their fresh produce. Vitabeam has commercial opportunity for each of these valuable steps in the farm to fork supply chain, reducing waste and going on to reducing plastics in the process. Commercialization and sales have been our priority since day one. In fact, we made our first income in just 9 months from startup. So our strategy has always been to commercialize as fast as possible and then optimize. Brexit, COVID, and the expected market crash and correction in Canada for medical cannabis companies, which happened in 2019, they just delayed us. However, we have over $2.4 million in committed pipeline of sales and just over $9 million with all phases of expansion and new projects currently in hand. So our 3 million investment raise will directly drive sales growth, specific targeted marketing, and professionals joining the team. This year, we have won 2 important UK government grants in horticulture and successfully been picked for the Startup Acceleration Program. We have sales in the US and Canada and Hawaii, with new projects confirmed and international markets ready for expansion. For clients, we deliver positive ROI as a retrofit supplemental system or in design for new builds. Our need is investment to drive sales, marketing, and international growth. In summary, we have proprietary, patented, and strong IP, a competitive first mover advantage, and global revenue opportunity. So you can find further information via CoInvestor and ARIE Capital, and we're very happy to talk directly with any interested investors. And finally, thank you very much for your interest in Vitabeam.
Great, thank you, James. I have a couple of questions here, and as I said, if any of the attendees have questions, please either drop them in the chat or the Q&A feature below. First one is, what is your time scale to profitability?
Okay, so we are predicting profitability in Q3 of next year, 2021, and subject to market conditions, that could move possibly to 2022, early Q1, Q2, but our prediction at the moment is Q3 next year.
Okay. And you mentioned that as part of the equity raise, you'll be looking to hire more professionals. What kind of roles are you looking to hire for?
We really want to drive our sales, and we know that we can expand based upon the sales base that we've achieved in the US and Canada. So we know that there'll be significant expansion in each of those major economic states in the US. So California, Florida, New York, Massachusetts, etc., to give you examples. And therefore, we want to have regional professionals, then they can drive sales with their network. And of course, into some international markets, UK, we've got professionals lined up already and they're active. So we can deploy them. And then as Stephen's aware, we've got a strategy with China, with a sales and marketing office and other market development at hand in Japan. So professionals to help us build this position.
Great. Stephen, this might be for you as well, but there's a question here. Are there green schemes that you've pursued? What is your point of view on those kind of schemes that may or may not be available?
It's our experience that there are any number of green schemes, or we hear a lot about green schemes for companies, and they can often take quite a lot of research and take up quite a lot of time to apply for them. My approach to looking at or assessing investees where there may be a lot of government grants and supports for them is sometimes these grants can fog the underlying assets of the business. And what I really like to see is whether or not the company does have an underlying asset, does have a route to market, is it solving a problem, does it have revenues? And then once I've got my sort of head under the bonnet, so to speak, and understand all of that, then we can work together with those companies and look and see what grants we can achieve. And I do support them. One of my bigger investees actually has had millions of euros invested in them by the European Space Agency. So I'm all for it, but I don't want it to mask or take away from let's properly assess the business.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Ollie, if I may add to that, I totally agree and support everything Stephen said. In addition, we know that we can move quickly to access European grant funding, and that would complement the existing grants that we've got in the UK. As I said, we've just successfully been approved for the Step Up program, which is an accelerator for the top grant-funded companies in the country. So only, I think the top 4% of companies have the option of that, and we've been selected. So we will look at every mechanism we can to accelerate our market position. But as Stephen's rightly said, it complements our fundamental commercialization, our sales growth. We've already, we now are actively moving into discussion with UK retail supermarkets and building forward the Vitabeam commercial position. And we know from UK horticulture growers that our farm to fork positioning enables us to link this food supply chain, and everybody is searching for this solution presently. So it's very topical, very timely, and on the back of COVID, that everybody's suddenly aware of viruses and pathogens, it enables us to take that, really take that opportunity forward. And as a consequence, we're now in dialogue with the two largest meat producers in Norway, and we've got pilot testing being set up, and they have stated it can dramatically benefit their entire business. So that's incredibly exciting and happened in the last couple of weeks.
Great. And we do have some more information around your fork to farm or farm to fork positioning on the platform.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. Okay, excellent.
Another question here. What's the pre-money valuation, and how long is the opportunity open for investment? Okay,
the pre-money is now set at 20 million, and I say now set because it has been adjusted downwards to reflect market conditions, the economy, and investor sentiment. So it's at 20 million pre-money. and we're seeking to raise and close funds as soon as possible. We have, I think, the luxury of being able to close funds in tranches. We have a commitment of up to $1 million from ARIE. We have a significant soft commitment from an Asian fund for up to $1 million. And at no point have we ever been in a position where we needed to write a very large check or capital commitment. So we've always accelerated our business by deploying capital and being very efficient by use of funds.
Okay. Could I just...
Sorry, go on, Stephen.
Could I just add something there? Investors have an opportunity of either investing in the fund or investing directly in Vitabeam. We set our proposed investment at £1 million because it would create balance to the fund. It would be inappropriate to have an unbalanced fund given the other investees that we're looking at within that fund. So the $1 million is not a limit, it's just kind of just explaining that. I think it's also important to explain that what we have discussed with James is what I call modular growth. As the investment that is being made is to help the sales and marketing and the growth of the business. It has a viable product. We know it's successful. We know it's creating revenues. And we know it's patented. So there is a distinct advantage to anybody else trying to come into that marketplace. What we're then able to do is on a step basis, as tranche money comes in, work with Vitabeam and help them grow and expand into new markets. So it's not a kind of an all or nothing situation, but this is the opportunity to get in at this valuation, I would say, because we know where the trajectory is.
And do the fees vary for the investor depending on whether they're going into the fund or directly into Vitabeam?
I would say to invest directly into Vitabeam, something I would like to take offline, it would normally be a slightly bigger investment than a typical retail investment into the fund. And I think that investors would get, if they're considering a bigger investment, a better return process by investing directly in the company than investing directly in the fund. Mm-hmm. So the short answer to that question is yes.
And James, just going back to your sort of timescale to profitability, I think you were saying Q3 2022 or 2021. What's your current burn rate?
Yeah, so our current burn rate is on a base level 23 for staffing and our key operations, and an average burn of 45 per month. That we've obviously trimmed down at the moment, just given current conditions in the market. But that's been our average burn level.
Okay. I think just there's any other questions. I mean, one thing that I find interesting is the sort of partnerships and collaborations that you've had. Are there any specific ones which you think are worth expanding on in the time that we've got?
I'm sure everyone else is experiencing a slight freeze.
Yes.
Yes, Ollie.
Oh yes, I'm back. Sorry.
We're digitizing very badly, so I think what you said was, are there any collaborations that we'd like to mention?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
So taking that lead, yes, we've got. I think we've got again very well positioned and strategic collaboration. So in regard to the UK government grant, we've got two lead horticulture groups in the UK that are both really eager and excited about the impact of Vitabeam VQE for growing. and for helping them fight pathogens and improving yield. So, and they're two leading UK growers. Secondly, the two Norwegian groups that I mentioned that are lead in meat and salmon production, and that's very significant as a commercial opportunity. We also have a technical encrypted security network collaboration that we're in dialogue with presently in the States, and that creates a sort of AI data encryption network that we can then plug into. Certainly not something we'd want to develop. Lastly, we have the opportunity with a Japanese government-backed technology company that's looking to develop smart and healthy city design and buildings for energy efficiency and fresh food supply chain. And then lastly, the very significant opportunity with ARIE Capital and their Nanjing fund for a sales and marketing office in China. It's such a colossal market for us and very timely.
Thank you. I don't have any more questions coming in. Stephen, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yes, I can see a question in one of the chats which says, what are the dilution prospects going forward? And look, if we are able to raise what Vitabeam want just now, the only dilution prospects going forward are in two areas. One, the proposal is that management and possibly new management that come in, that there is an option pool, which the independent side of the board would have to approve, which would be at about 10%. And then there is another investor who previously lent the company some money for its startup, which has since been repaid, has some warrants for 3% at this price valuation if he were to exercise it. If ARIE itself were to, from our Chinese entity, were to invest, I would imagine that we would invest locally, and that would then boost the value of the mother company, which is what we're talking about right now. And if I may just say in summary, not taking your summary away from you, James, is we've talked about the growth, we've talked about what Vitabeam can do in killing pathogens. We've talked about what Vitabeam can do in terms of improving growth. The applications of that, which has been demonstrated to me, which is why I wanted to be involved in the company. Imagine you have a Vitabeam technology sitting in your fridge at home. So the fresh food you keep in your fridge, is killing the pathogen so it lasts longer. Imagine the healing processes, because it's encouraging the way that it works. One of the things I see in the medical space is how do you heal open sores, diabetic sores, and so on. The Vitabeam technology can do all of that. And then we talk about vertical farming, how to grow more food in an urban environment. Vitabeam can deal with that. And quite smartly, which again is one of the reasons why I like the business, when they applied for their patent, they applied for it on a very wide basis. So they cover a whole spectrum, and James can talk to you about this far more detail than I can, and have quite a broad basis. So they can cover these other areas in ways that others cannot because they have the patent. And so it's a very exciting company, and I feel very privileged to be involved in it. And I can only say thank you again to you, James, for allowing me that opportunity, and you, Ollie, and all your colleagues at CoInvest to enable us to promote it in this way.
Thank you, Stephen. I think that's a good way to finish off. So let me just say that we appreciate you joining us today. If you have any further questions for James or for Stephen, please get in touch, and we can coordinate follow-up calls if they would be of help. And once again, if you haven't registered for CoInvestor, please do, because there is more documentation on Vitabeam and ARIE Capital on the platform.
very happy to take everything offline and talk on a one-on-one basis.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I'll end it there. Thank you, James. Thank you,
Thank
Stephen.
you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.